So if we start with incomings, first of all. Now, you probably no doubt I was going to ask you about this. The last time we spoke about 6-7 weeks ago, we wouldn't go, there's a feeling, but maybe with Alexander Isak. I mean, fast forward to today, and obviously your colleague at Damer, Craig Hope's been sort of the Geordie side as well. Is it just almost you feel a case of we're waiting for Newcastle to get these other forwards in and then it happens?
Yeah, I think there's quite a domino effect in play here, and I do think that once Newcastle get a forward in, which is easier said than done by the look, because they've been trying to do that for 3 months now and failed. But and hopefully they do, if they do get a forward in, then I do think Alexander Isak will end up becoming a Liverpool player by the end of the window. But as I say, the clock is ticking. The fact that they've already sold Núñez is sort of maybe weaken the bargaining position, because obviously we know Newcastle want 150 mil. We know that Liverpool don't want to pay 150 mil, and you know, absolute brilliant player, but he is mid-20s. You know, maybe 150 mil is a bit steep. But if Newcastle get that player in, then there's every chance that Isak will be a Liverpool player. So I do still think it's more likely than not to result in Isak coming to Liverpool. But there's just a few ifs and buts and maybes that need to be ticked off in the next couple of weeks before that can happen.
Yeah, and I mean, there's development, shall we say, on it every day. The latest we've had is that he's trading separate hours from the first team. He wasn't invited to the friends and family Newcastle Players Day and that type of thing. I suppose you were kind of away for this bit, but what a lot of people had questions around was the reporting, because we made that first offer, didn't we? And it was rejected. Of course, it was going to be rejected at that amount. But then there was talk that, Liverpool are going to walk away and that's it. But we all knew they were never really going to sort of walk away, were they, Lewis? It just felt like a start of the chain.
No, I mean, that was a load of rubbish as far as I'm concerned. I understand why they would have that stance, but I didn't believe it for a second, because if you like a player so much as Liverpool do with Alexander Isak, then why would they walk away after one bid was rejected? It didn't make any sense. So I was away and I was glad, because I don't know what stance or what line I would have gone down with that if I was on the clock. But yeah, it didn't add up to me, and it still doesn't. So I do think Liverpool are still in the chase, whatever people say. And I do think, as I just said, if Newcastle get a quality striker in, which is an if, it's not a definite. Yeah. But if they do, I do think that they'll go back in with that second offer, because, you know, he clearly wants to move, and I think his reputation or his relationship with Newcastle has gone to a point where it's probably beyond repair now. So it makes sense for Newcastle to cash in now.
Yeah, we are almost just, it feels, still waiting. So we'll see if there's any developments this week. And developments almost between, as you probably clocked, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. last night. This story went a bit crazy, didn't they? Start to come out of France that Liverpool are moving for Bardley Barcola, and different reports, 100 million euros is mentioned as a fee. And then your esteemed colleague from the photo, James Pearce, puts the report out to say Liverpool are not one to block the pathway, quote unquote, for Rio Ungamoa. Is that the latest that you're hearing as well, that this is more paper talk, or do you think there's anything in this one at all?
Yeah, I think that's probably about right. I've been off, so I've not really been all over it the way that I would be throughout the rest of the summer. But as far as I'm aware, they do love Ngamoa a lot. So I'm not sure whether they would go for Barcola, especially given his price tag. Even though he's a very talented player, at the moment it doesn't seem like a viable option. But obviously things can change. If the Isak thing falls apart, then maybe it's there. But at the moment, I can't see it.
Yeah, just feel, I mean, there was people talking about both, which should maybe be a dream, and I get that. But yeah, one or the other, and all the money seems to be focused on Isak at the moment. And I suppose whilst that is the case, and people saying, yeah, Isak, please, 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 there in the comments, it seems to have gone quiet on other forward names. You'll know these, like Rodrigo at Real Madrid, that seems a bit shot down. Malik Fofana at Leon, who you thought might have been maybe mentioned when Tyler Morton did the move as well. It does seem quiet across other forwards, doesn't it, at the same time?
Yeah, and it probably does suit. It probably doesn't suit Liverpool in the pursuit of Isak that is quiet on other forwards. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think Rodrigo's one that's going to happen, and Fofana is one that they've probably looked at earlier in the summer, but it has gone quiet. I've not heard anything on that for a few weeks. But as you say, maybe they did just put the feelers out when they signed when Leon signed Tyler Morton. But yeah, it's a little bit quiet at the moment, which points to me that all of their eggs are in the Isak basket at the moment. But let's see what happens.
Yeah, it will be interesting to keep an eye on that one. And defenders, you talked about, I think like most people, we are a centre-back light, at least as many feel. And I've seen different videos. There seems to have been a few names, but almost starting with the one that's gone cold a little bit. Is it kind of just a stalemate around Marc Guehi, or could there be anything in this almost after the Community Shield on Sunday still, do you reckon?
Yeah, I wouldn't completely rule out Guehi by any stretch of the imagination. I think that one is still definitely a viable option. The way the land lies at the moment is that Palace just want a bit too much, but I just wonder whether as August goes on and they realise that, hold on a minute, we're never going to get money for this player again, then maybe they'll just budge a little bit. And I think maybe reading between the lines, that could be what's happening. Liverpool maybe sort of just waiting to see if they will lower it. I don't think they'll go for him if they don't lower it, but if they do, then they're definitely there in the sort of race. And then obviously I've mentioned in articles and videos in the past that guy on the screens, Giovanni Leoni, could be an option. He's definitely one that they've kept tabs on. I think the desire is for that young centre back, which I've mentioned a few times over the last couple of months, and he definitely he ticks a lot of boxes. But as Joycey says there, sort of maybe Liverpool aren't front of the queue for him at this current moment in time. There's a few other names as well that have been floated around, such as the guy at Wolfsburg that I know Lynchy talked about as well.
Yeah.
But it's a wait and see on that one. I do think they will sign a centre back, but it might be one that goes until the end of August before it steps up. But let's see what happens with this Leone kid in the next week or so, and whether Palace reduce their sort of demands on Guehi.
Yeah, just feel like we'll have to see. But those are the two front runners, if you want to call it that, or the strongest links around at the moment. And I suppose you mentioned this. I think everyone's at the same point. We are, and whilst he's a bit of a cult hero, we are one knock or one small injury away from Endo starting at centre back, pretty much, aren't we? With Gomez out, and they are so short in that area.
Yeah, we are. I think Endo is like a very good defender if he plays there, but I don't think he's a long-term option by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think he should be. I think he should be there as an emergency centre back if there's an injury crisis, rather than someone who is the fourth choice defender by trade. So, I mean, maybe Slot has ideas, because this time last year we were all saying they're a midfielder light, and then out of nowhere he magicked up Ryan Gravenberch being the best number 6 in the Prem. So maybe he's going to pull some magic out of his hat again. Maybe Stefan Bajcetic comes into the equation as well, in terms of, is he in the squad as a midfielder, and then Endo is seen mainly as a defender. But yeah, they definitely need to sign a defender for me, because I don't want to call it luck with the injuries last season, but Virgil and Ibu are pretty much ever present, apart from maybe the odd game here and there. But what happens if on the first or even on Sunday, what happens if Van Dijk does his ACL or Canate does his ACL? Like, touch wood, that won't happen for Liverpool's point of view, but it could happen. Like, look around the Prem at teams last season. Rodri getting out for the season, and we've just seen James Maddison's out for this season, pretty much. Right. So that could easily happen, and then they'd be in a bit of a mess, I think. So they need an extra body in the back line, definitely.
Yeah, it does feel the priority above anything else right now. We'll see if any of them develop in the coming week or so. And I'm not going to ask you to sort of nail your colours to the mast fully on this, because anything can change. We know how it works. But is it the feeling for you it will be a forward like Isak and a centre-back, so like two more bodies, unless anything else changes?
Yeah, I do think that'll happen. And obviously a lot of people, mainly of rival clubs, will be saying, oh, how can they afford all this? But in terms of the outgoings, they've brought in close to 200 mil, I think, with the Nunez sale this morning when that goes through. They've brought in 100 mil from Diaz and Nunez, 110 mil from them two together. Then you've got Morton and Trent and Kelleher. I think I'm missing one, and there could be more to follow with Harvey and maybe Ben Doak. So, and Tsimikas maybe. So there's a lot of money coming in, so they can definitely afford it. And I think they will definitely sign a forward now. And I think they will definitely do their best to sign a defender as well.
Yeah, it will be interesting. And I know people will want more than that, but that seems to be the direction of travel. There could always be a surprise, of course. We'll see what develops on that.